Hello there. Today I want to take a look at what I hope is going to be a great value wine from a favourite area of mine, the Minervois. So this is Maris Organic Minervois, and this is the 2021 vintage of that. Château Maris is a 45 hectare estate just north of La Livinière, right in the centre, the north centre of the Minervois appellation, just sitting in the hills above the Cru of La Livinière, the village of La Livinière, the one sort of classified Cru area of the Minervois. The estate was bought in 1997 by Bertie Eden, and at that stage Bertie decided that he was going to produce his wines first organically and then moved on to producing biodynamically. And I think it's fair to say that at this stage he was the first person in the Roussillon area to really consider this to any great extent. So an Englishman coming into the area with some American money backing him, and today he has an estate here that has actually been ranked the 5th most ecological winery in the world. So he's stayed true to this ethos in the 26 years that he's been making wine here. Beautifully located above the La Livinière Cru, Château Maris has this incredible view, and you're pretty much looking down over the whole of the Minervois from a reasonable altitude. It's a beautiful sight. It's worth noting that this isn't actually an estate wine. This is labelled simply as Maris, so it's a brand associated with the estate, whereas they have a range of estate wines that are branded as Château Maris. Previously this was known as the Organic Syrah. It's now simply labelled as Organic Minervois, but it's still 100% Syrah. Although for the Minervois you could include other varieties such as Grenache, Cinsault, Carignan. Having started out by being really interested in compost, and Bertie is very proud of his manure-based composts, very quickly they got quite involved in organic and biodynamic principles, and so in 2002 they got their first certification as organic from EcoCert. In 2004 they were certified by Biodivine, and then in 2008 they were certified by Demeter, one of the biodynamic certifying bodies. As I say, Bertie was something of a pioneer in this area, and today he reckons 60% of Roussillon's viticulture is being conducted organically. As I've said, this wine is entirely Syrah. It is hand-picked because these will be on old, low-yielding bush vines on hillside sites. The classic soils in this area around Minervois are alluvial soils that have been washed down from the Montagne Noire, and they are quite friable, so they don't hold a lot of water. There'll be some clay that has enough water holding capacity to see the vines through the year, but water is relatively scarce. Other influences on the grape growing here are the cool winds coming from the Pyrenees and the Mediterranean sunshine. The fact that these vineyards are at altitude as well also helps retain freshness. So the combination here allows grapes to be grown that produce wines which have both power and elegance. As I say, the fruit is hand-picked. Fermentation goes on in, I think, predominantly concrete tanks, but also some open-top wooden fermenters, and then a portion of the wine ages in oak. I'm guessing that's relatively old oak. There's no stressing of the fact that this is new, so much more to allow the wine to get a little bit of oxidation while it's aging, just to sort of polymerize tannins and to soften the mouthfeel a bit, make it less angular. And then the wine is bottled completely unfiltered. So let's have a look at it and see what we make of it. First thing to say is it's got a lovely deep mauve red colour here. Swelling it, the aromas being given off are ripe, rich, almost overripe, sort of dark, heady, jammy prune, jammy plum, very red cherry. As I say, there's a heady richness. I almost wonder if there's a touch of vanilla, but I'm not thinking there's that much new oak, so I think that's a fruit-derived aroma there. So there's plenty of intensity anyway. So let's have a taste. It's a relatively smooth, dry red. It's medium to full-bodied. It's not enormous. The tannins are quite supple, but there is quite a pronounced pepperiness, and so a little bit of a drying note. There is some, you know, tannic bite there, and this pepper note is quite intense. That's a note that you often see with Syrah, so that's not surprising. The fruit is juicy red fruit. It's quite simple and one-dimensional. I mean, this is not an expensive wine, you know, and the fact that it's giving good Syrah character is, you know, it's pretty good step there. I should have said the wine is throwing some fairly chunky tears down the side of the glass there, and that'll be its 14% alcohol, and that's rounding out the palate really quite nicely. There's almost a sort of a feel of a little bit of glycerol there, adding a bit of weight and roundness from the alcohol, and there's a rich finish, and that richness plays quite nicely with the spiciness. The wine's lasting reasonably well. I suspect it would age for 3 or 4 years quite happily, although, you know, given its accessibility, it doesn't need to be aged to allow the tannins to smooth. It's a wine that's ready to drink, is very versatile, would go with quite a wide range of richer meat dishes, maybe some slightly spicy dishes. You know, that peppery note there will give you something to pair with particular foods. I mean, the classic match for a Minervois, of course, is cassoulet. That's sort of very rich sausage and goose and beans and lots of, you know, fatty meat going in there. And, you know, this would be a stunning backdrop for that. Those sort of slightly drying tannins would work very nicely. So not a hugely complex wine, but one that's well made, produces some nice varietal and regional character, would age for a couple of years, a nice everyday drinking wine. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you find this interesting. If you do find the videos interesting, do please hit the like button, do share them with your friends, do please sign up and follow us on YouTube. That would be great to see you join us for another tasting again sometime soon. Also, please feel free to leave your comments. We'd love to hear what you think, either about the wines or about the videos that we're making. I hope we see you again soon. Bye now.